Hello, listeners. Welcome to BornCurious, coming to you from Harvard Radcliffe Institute. I'm Ivelisse Estrada.
And I'm Heather Min. On this podcast, we love to dig into what brings practitioners to the important work they do, asking questions about identity, purpose, and resilience.
In our last episode, we talked to Naomi Ko, a practicing oncologist, about her mission to elevate the plight of underserved breast cancer patients by telling their stories. If you haven't yet listened to episode 508, we encourage you to do so.
We found Naomi's commitment to providing healthcare so moving that we decided to dig a little more into her motivations. We're so glad to be able to keep the conversation going, Naomi, because, wow, at this point, I'm just, you are remarkable.
Oh, thank you.
And I think we need to hear about, like, who are you? How did you get here?
Did you always want to be a doctor?
Really good question. No, I didn't know I was going to be a doctor. I went to Barnard College, and I graduated with a degree in American Studies. And I attribute that to a passion I developed in high school at Concord Academy to justice and an awakening of my own position as an Asian American girl at the time to what was painful about that experience of not feeling like I belonged. What was painful about my parents being immigrants that worked 7 days a week and were tired a lot. And I wanted to right the wrongs of the legacies of slavery in our country. And I was a really big civil rights, person. I've really studied that part of history. So all that to say, I went to college and thought I want to be a lawyer because that's what lawyers do. And I'll do American Studies. And I went and did a short stint at a corporate law firm in New York City after I graduated and realized very quickly that was not the right profession for me. I was like, oh my gosh, editing credit agreements behind a desk for hours on end made me sad.
Yeah, someone's idea of fun.
Yes, but not mine, As you can see, I'm a very big people person. And so I remember thinking, at that time, I'm too young and creative and, it's not dynamic enough for me. So I applied for Teach for America. And luckily got it. And I was placed in Oakland, California. And I taught second grade at Lockwood Year-Round Elementary School, which is about a few blocks from the old Oakland Coliseum where the Raiders used to play. And I was lucky enough to be the second grade teacher to about 33 Black kids, 7-year-olds, and tried to teach them how to read and write and do math and love school. And it was the hardest job I've ever had in my life. And it was a real awakening.
Harder than oncologist.
Yeah, it really feels like it was. At 22, when I got there, I was green and I didn't know anything. And I was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and super idealistic. And I learned quickly, what poverty looks like and how I felt like I was going into a failing system every day. And I didn't know whether I was really making a difference.
Was that your first exposure to the socioeconomic kind of,
Sure.
that you would treat later
Yes.
in your career?
Absolutely, actually. And it was one of those things where, I grew up as an immigrant's child, but I was a very lucky one. I went to some of the best schools, and I had a real idealized version of what, quote unquote, social justice was. But going and teaching in that neighborhood day in and day out and knowing those kids and their families was a reality check that was so important to get at that time. Getting out into the community, really walking the walk. And that's very important to me. So at the same time, I also was encouraged by my best friend and roommate to apply for this interesting thing at the Berkeley Free Clinic in Berkeley, where you could be what's called a quote-unquote medic or community health worker there.
And was she thinking just like as an extra job? Or
she was like, this thing looks cool. Let's do it. I was like, yeah, that looks cool. We're like, oh, that would be fun. That's interesting. So it's this thing where on the weekends, you would do their quote-unquote training. And weekends, like Saturday mornings. And we would train over 6 months, they would train you. They would train you on how to treat any kind of upper respiratory infection. They would train you on looking at skin and being able to distinguish what scabies was and treat that. Learn how to do a pelvic exam and treat STDs, sexually transmitted diseases.
And this is for people who didn't have access to real doctors?
Well, it's exactly right. There I am again at the free clinic. It's the Berkeley Free Clinic. And so it was really just for people, not profit. And I actually have that poster in my Radcliffe office, Berkeley Free Clinic for People Not Profit. And it was really born out of the 70s in Berkeley at the time, this mission of take care of people who need it, who can't otherwise get help. And so let's teach each other how to take care of the community. And they would have one health professional in the clinic a night, and then all of us medics seeing the patients and reporting into the professional. Okay, I'm seeing this. This is what I'm going to do. What do you think? And they were like, yeah, sounds great. And then if there's anything like they didn't think, let me check. Let me come in and take a look. And it was kind of like training. It was kind of like residency training. But it was like just lay healthcare workers, lay people. We actually did pelvic exams on each other to teach each other. And that, yeah, for real. And I really thrived in that setting because it was something I just loved so much. And in fact, my peers there then turned to me and they said, Naomi, you should go to medical school. If you really love this, you should go to medical. I was like, what? No. I was like, the last science class I took was environmental science at Barnard freshman year for my science requirement. How am I going to go to medical school? That's a joke. And after a little digging, and I found out that Mills College had a post-baccalaureate pre-medical program, I signed right up. So I did my pre-med coursework for 2 years, and I had to go back and do calculus, bio, organic chemistry, physics. I did all of it.
Wow.
And I did it with a real commitment. I did it like a job. I was like, I have got to get to medical school and I am going to study like I've never studied before.
Wait a minute. Were you still doing Teach for America?
I couldn't.
Okay.
Yeah, so
but you were still doing the free clinic.
I was doing the free clinic and I was doing the post-baccalaureate, and actually I was coaching a high school crew team. Because I rowed crew in college. I was a Columbia rower when I was in college at Barnard, and I picked up a rowing gig coaching. So I was doing that, and I was in school, and then I had to take the MCAT, and suffice it to say, I ended up at Johns Hopkins for medical school, and that's where the medical journey really was for me.
What kind of doctor did you think you would become?
Yeah, so I played a little bit with surgery, and because here's why, actually. I think, and this is one of my other best friends likes to say that I'm a surgeon disguised as a medical oncologist because I have a bit of a surgical personality. I love the control of the operating room. It's like just so perfect, you know? It's like everything's exactly where you want it to be, and you can go in and fix something.
Yeah.
You go in, you fix it, you come out. But I realized that I love people too much and the conversation and the longitudinal care. And I also really wanted a family, and I didn't quite understand how to be a surgeon and a mother at the same time. And I certainly wanted to be a mother way more than I wanted to be a doctor my whole life. So that was a big part of my decision making. So I went into medicine. People talk about like the personality types that go to surgery, the personality types that go to pediatrics, personality types that go to radiology, for example. There's this, you kind of in medical school, you start to sort into the specialty that sings to you, you know, that really pulls on your strengths and that makes you feel your best. And for me, that was going to be knowing patients well and really seeing who they are as human beings and what can I do to take care of you. And what one person needs to be cared for is not what another person needs to be cared for. And of course, like the roots of your life, I think, come back to you later. And when I was younger, you know, as I mentioned, my parents are immigrants, and like a lot of Asian families have grandmothers who come from their home countries to help. And my grandmother came the year I was born, actually. She came from Taiwan to Boston. And she and my grandfather helped to raise me and my older sister. And when she was, I think I must have been 11 or 12 when she got diagnosed with cancer. Mm. And at that tender age, it was really hard. It was really hard. It was hard to understand what was happening because no one wanted to talk about it in my family. Talking about cancer and telling her was forbidden because they felt like if we told her she would die more quickly, so don't tell her she has cancer. And it was like, oh my God. So then it was hard because I felt like I couldn't tell her, but I just had to like be there and support her and translate at times. And so,
what did she think was wrong with her?
She didn't ask because I think sometimes they know. She just didn't. She just was her dutiful self and just trusted. She just trusted in the system. Mm. But it was very, very, very hard. And I feel like that's really at the root, at the core of the doctor I am today. She's like, carry her with me. She's in the room with me. Mm. You know, every encounter, I want to show up as if my grandmother needed it, you know, because I think that's the right thing to do. And I think that's what people deserve, in fact. I feel like that's what people deserve and often don't get. Mm. I want to be the kind of doctor that I would want for my grandmother.
Yeah. That's so beautiful. I mean, I think it sounds like you're doing it.
I'm trying. And I often say this too. I'm not the perfect doctor. I'm great for some patients, and some people need a different kind of doctor, you know, but for the patients that I connect with and I take care of and enjoy taking care of, it's usually mutual. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. I've found in my career that the most success that we're going to have as providers is when we have enough trust in our patients and a mutual trust. And that is hard earned. And when you're dealing with oncology, which is a life-threatening diagnosis, there's an immediate bond that really needs to happen. And I love that opportunity. I love the opportunity to sit next to someone and say, tell me what happened. That's how I start every encounter with a new patient. Tell me what happened. And I just listen. I try in that first encounter to be saying the least. And sometimes I'll start the encounter and say, this is how it's going to go. I want to hear all about you. And then I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. And we're going to have a conversation. Then I'm going to examine you. And then after that, we'll sit down and we're going to make a plan. And we're going to get through this. And that's how I start. And then I'm like, okay, tell me what happened.
Anxiety lowering.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to say there's so many great oncologists out there. And I feel at NYU right now, I'm one of many in my group that equally care very deeply about their patients. There's some women in the NYU group who've dedicated their entire careers to being a breast medical oncologist. And I am in awe of that dedication to the profession and their longitudinal relationships with their patients and their patients' daughters. I mean, it's just a beautiful, beautiful life that you can make in this profession.
Your work is demanding, though. You deal with life and death, literally, and you allow yourself to get to know your patients as people, not just afflictions. How do you not get overwhelmed? How do you show up every day?
It's so hard. It's actually so, so hard. If you had asked me this question the year I was my first year as an attending, I would have answered it differently than how I'll answer it today.
How long have you been a practicing physician?
Yeah, so about 15 years. But I mean, I actually count my years of residency. So I have been interfacing with patients and understanding and learning patients for over 20 years. And you evolve over time, right? So to answer your question about how emotionally hard this can be, extremely. And how we deal with it in oncology depends on the person. I am an incredibly emotional person, so I go right there. I'll get right in the emotions with you. I'll get all feelings
I
up.
don't want you crying with me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, where are the tissues? When I was early on, and it felt different once I became my own attending, where the buck stops with you. That person's care is on you.
Mm-hmm.
And when I had patients die, I remember a patient of mine one of my first patients who died. I went to her funeral, and yeah, a lot of people were like, "Oh my God, Naomi, you're crossing the line." So there's some people who really believe in a distinct line for the doctor and the patient, and I was crossing it a little bit there, but I felt a real need to heal my sadness around. I missed her, and I was missing her, so I had that. Another thing I do is I converted to Judaism. I married a Jewish man, and his father was a beautiful rabbi, and I converted before I got married, and I'm so grateful for that. And early on, I would find incredible solace of the ritual of Kabbalah Shabbat. So that's the Friday night service where I would go, and you go to synagogue, it's the same songs, it's the same prayers, and it was there before me, it will be there after me. And it was so comforting in the worst moments of sadness that I had about patients to be there and to remind myself that. And in that, so that ritual and that space and that faith in God and whatever that God is, higher than me, bigger than me, is another source of comfort I have.
How's the Radcliffe Fellowship going so far?
Oh my gosh, I don't want it to end. I don't want it to end. I love it, love it, love it here. This is such an incredible time for me personally. I am in between 2 hospitals and jobs. And so luckily, I made this transition right at the right time where I'm not seeing patients this year. It's a break, and that's yet another way to fortify my emotionality for when I get hit New York and start picking up patients again. Because it's that you need that to, rejuvenate and kind of regroup my own self emotionally, because taking care of patients is a lot of work and the burnout is real. And this year is a real blessing for me. And I told you my journey was non-traditional path to medicine. And when I got to Johns Hopkins, Dean Frank Herlong, who was the dean at the time, invites every Hopkins first-year medical student into his office. Tell me about yourself. What do you want to do with medicine? How can I help you? And most people, like my friends, were like, I want to be a neurosurgeon. Okay, let's get you hooked up with so-and-so for research, so-and-so for his clinic, and get you going. And it's like, great, okay, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And we used to chatter about this before we went in to go see the dean. And what did you ask him? What did you say? And someone asked me, what are you going to say? I was like, I'm going to tell him, I want to be a mom. I just got married. I want to be a mom. I just got here from my honeymoon. So I did that. I went into his office, and he did, and I said, I want to be a mother. I've wanted to be a mother more than I wanted to be a doctor my whole life. And he was shocked.
Because you're in med school.
Yeah.
I'm in med school.
At Johns Hopkins.
Yeah, Johns Hopkins, first year medical school. And I surprised him, actually, with that question. I'll never forget it. I actually had friends of mine tell me not to do it. They're like, don't do that, Naomi, don't do that. And he took a pause. He looked at me, and after a minute, he said, do it now. And he said, I've seen my female colleagues say, I'll wait till after med school. I'll wait till after residency. I'll wait till after fellowship. I'll wait till after I'm an attending physician and then things settle down. And he said, don't make that choice, because you'll only grow in your responsibilities in medicine. The pressures only grow. And he said, if you really want this, then you'll go through your career with your mommy glasses on. And I really loved that when he said that. And then he said, I'll support you, and you'll have 100 surrogate parents in your class. And that is exactly what happened. I gave birth to Lev, my oldest, my second year of medical school. And there was a baby shower that my entire class threw for me and my husband. And it was one of the most joyous moments where everyone was so excited about the class baby. and the generosity of my friends who shared notes with me, helped me get through class, like all the exams I missed, and I had to go back and re-listen to all the lectures and take all the exams. I mean, it was a group effort.
Wow. I was laughing while you were talking about the baby shower because all I kept thinking was, wow, you found your village. Like the village stepped up.
They did. And sometimes I think I posted something on social media when my son Lev, I think he turned 18. And some of the feedback from my friends from medical school were like, that's our baby? I was like, yeah, your baby's 18 now. So it's so beautiful. It's just like, yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even more than wanting to be a doctor, you wanted to be a mom.
Mm-hmm.
And so how does that even work still? People want to know.
Yeah.
Young women want to know. How does that even work?
Oh my gosh, thank you for asking that question. There's nothing I'm more proud of than my children, period. Yeah, that's going to make me cry. I love them so much. I think when I was young, my grandmother made such a big impression on me. She was the linchpin of the entire family. She was the source of food and warmth and comfort, and I wanted to be her. And so I think there was something about this desire to have a family, a big, warm, in Chinese it's 热闹. 热 is hot. 闹 is like chaos. It's like hot chaos together.
I love that.
热闹 is like, I love that. 热闹. It's like people are around and they're like doing so. You're all in it together. It's just a warmth, and it connotes like family and warmth to me. And I wanted that. And I married a man who wanted the same, thank God. He's one of 4, and I'm one of 4 children. So we had 4 children. And it felt like a family. Mm-hmm. My Dean Herlong at Johns Hopkins was really revolutionary to say to me, because if he had said to me, you can't have kids right now, I wouldn't have. Because I was going to be a dutiful medical student and do what I was told. He really changed the course of my personal life. And I feel like that was the best advice anyone ever gave me, is to be true to what you want if you know that, and make the world shift around you and make the choices that will continually feed your own happiness. And part of that starts with knowing yourself. There are a lot of young female doctors, residents, fellows who come to me for advice. Either they want mentorship in research or even in clinical care. And I turn the question back on them about, well, what do you want? Who are you? And sometimes they are like, they've been doing their whole life because someone said, this is what you should do. You should go to medical school. You should be a doctor. You should like, okay, yeah. You're on that path and you've been so successful at it. When have you turned the mirror on yourself and said, who are you and what do you want out of your life? And start doing that work, because that'll make you happier. That will make you sustain this career much, much more than if you went through all these hoops because someone said that was what you should do. That's what you need to do. Like there is a point at which you have to flip into, not doing what your parents told you and doing what you want for yourself. And that would be my advice to people, is if you are like me, and not all women want to have a family for sure. And this is it. But if you do, my advice is, really do it and find your allies. And there are more and more women I see coming up through the training, surgeons even, and sometimes I'm jealous. And I'm like, wow, I would have, maybe I would have actually gone into a surgical residency, seeing that women are doing it now more and more.
And you were able to have 4 children
Yeah.
because you and your husband had help.
Yes, for sure. And it was we came to Boston, where my parents are. They were at my Radcliffe talk a couple weeks ago. And I have siblings. I have 2 sisters and a brother. And we have a big family. I'm one of 4. And I think we really came back to Boston for 2 reasons. One is because, as you know, I have this close relationship with my grandmother, and I so much wanted my children to have a grandmother. And second, because going through my internship and residency at the Brigham was crazy. And I remember those days when I was at the Brigham, in a month, right, in a calendar month, there are 4 weekends. And we called it your golden weekend, where you had both days off, your black weekend, where you worked both days, and the other 2 weekends was 1 day on, 1 day off. So in a calendar month, we had literally 4 days off.
And how long is a shift?
I'm not supposed to say. Otherwise, I'll get in trouble. No, because they weren't supposed to have us working as long as we were working. Let's just put it at that. Yeah. And we stayed a lot. I mean, there were days that I didn't see the sun. I went when it was dark to the hospital to pre-round, and I went home after the sundown. And it was like several days in a row of that. All of it to say, on the days off that I did have, I just remember going to my parents' house and just being there because I just needed to sleep, get fed, get watered. And, my parents were here for us when we had our young kids. We had 2 little kids during that phase. And it's so important. It's family's important. Family's important to me. Family's been defining for me, as a granddaughter, as a daughter, and as a mother. And that line is just, for me, what brings meaning for me. And it's infiltrated across, my profession and my choices. So,
and it's clear that listening to you, that you extend that good care outwards and onto your patients as well.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I think my patients, sometimes I'll think about it this way. When I tell a woman they have breast cancer in that first encounter again, right? We're talking about it and tears come a lot. And I'll say, what are your tears saying if they could talk? What are those tears about? And it's never about their jobs. It's never about their work and their material things. It is always about their families and their loved ones. It's about their daughters they're going to miss. And that's what it's about. And that's human. And that's real.
You're engaged in, as you've described it, very intimate, at the most crisis of all crisis points of these individuals' lives. You cultivate these relationships, and you've spoken about your faith, and I guess I'm wondering if you have any insights on mortality.
Yeah. For some of my patients, who make it through, you get a renewed sense of your life after something like this happens. I think for every cancer patient that goes through treatment, everyone, I don't care if it's like just getting the diagnosis alone, even if it's just a surgery and that's all you really needed, it's still life altering in how you see your life, that you're vulnerable and you worry a little more and you think a little more about how you live your life and how you connect with your family and how to do all those things. And I feel like that's the other part of what I love about my job, is being there at that moment for my patients too, how are you doing? How are you getting along? We didn't go through this crazy cancer treatment for you not to be happy right now, okay? Like, what can I do? How can I help? Like, we didn't do all this so that, I want you to be happy. I want you to be happy. And how are you going to thrive in your new life now? And we don't know when we're going to die. We don't know. I don't know when I'm going to die, but I want this day to be my best day if I can make it my best day. So I have those conversations a lot in my clinic, with my patients who've gone through treatment. It's an ongoing relationship. And that's what I really love about being an oncologist. When you work with people and you love people who are faced with a life-threatening illness that you're trying your best to cure, it really puts your priorities into perspective. At least it has for me. And it makes me make sure I'm there for my children, that they know they're my number one, and that I don't lose sight of that, because that's something that, makes me whole. Like I said, like all the patients who are sad in their saddest moments of mortality, it's about the connections with the people they love that makes them the saddest. And that lesson is to remind us, hold on tight to the people that you love and show up for them the best you can. It's ugly, it's messy. Our family fights, we have our issues. We all do. But it's sort of like lean into it because it's worth it. And life is short. And so let's just all give each other a lot of grace. And that's what I would say.
Thank you so much for giving us so much of your time.
Yeah. Thank you guys
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you.
That concludes today's program.
BornCurious is brought to you by Harvard Radcliffe Institute. Our producer is Catello Grazioso. Anna Song and Cabin 3 Media provided editing and production support. Many thanks to Jane Huber for editorial support. And we are your co-hosts. I'm Ivelisse Estrada.
And I'm Heather Mann.
Our website, where you can listen to all our episodes, is radcliffe.harvard.edu/BornCurious.
If you have feedback, you can email us at info@radcliffe.harvard.edu.
You can follow Harvard Radcliffe Institute on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Threads. And as always, you can find BornCurious wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks for learning with us.
And join us next time.